welcome to Push Your Glasses Up. My name's Mikey.
And I'm Reena, and hi.
Yo.
Olive's already taking a nap, and I just woke up from a nap, so I'm a little groggy.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, well, it's been we live in Seattle now, so it's been very dreary.
Or as I've explained it to people that are out in California, we have been living in a permanent March.
Right?
It's been dreary and cold and rainy the entire time.
I feel like March is the January of spring, and so that's not always the best thing in the world.
Yeah, exactly. But there is a bright side to the calendar actually moving forward while this is going on.
I love that segue.
Yeah, it was terrible. Let's get into the news.
We have a page one problem. Shut up.
Avengers Endgame shocks Detective Pikachu with $63 million. This is Vinny Mancuso at Collider. Endgame's time at the number 2 position lasted exactly one Friday night, as the MCU film won out its third weekend with $63 million. Worldwide, Endgame now sits at a mighty $2.48 billion as it eyes down Avatar's record-setting $2.78 billion.
Okay, but let me be clear here. I read something similar as well. However, I will say that Detective Pikachu exceeded expectations, which were about 50 to 55 million.
You're cutting off the second story.
Oh, well, I was going to say, but
that'll lead into the main topic.
I was going to say that, when I went to get my tickets for Detective Pikachu, I noticed that there weren't nearly as many theaters, obviously, as there were for Endgame, even a few weeks in. So let's
Let me make this both stories at the same time.
Okay.
So the follow-up story to that is Detective Pikachu delivers record opening for a video game adaptation as Endgame tops 700 million. This is from Brad Brevet at Box Office Mojo. Disney's Avengers Endgame dipped a little more than expected for the 3-day, but it was still able to capture the weekend's top spot, holding off a record start for a video game adaptation from WB's Pokémon Detective Pikachu, which made 58 million. So it was still a fine weekend for both. It was totally fine.
I read a thing. Also, this is going into what our topic of the day is, but you just said something that made me think of it. It's that, this is a great opening for a video game movie, which have notoriously been awful, but at the same time, when I think about Pokemon is so much more than just video games. Pokemon is its own world at this point, right?
Yeah, I would say Pokemon is sort of in concept similar to Marvel. Mm-hmm. Like, Marvel movies aren't just comic book movies. Like, we're kind of sort of beyond that at this point. Whereas I think, like, this is the first Pokemon movie. It's not necessarily like we're worrying about a video game adaptation of this. It's nice that it got that record, but I also am just like over the genre subgenre trying to find a way to make a record at this point. It always reminds me of like watching baseball games where the announcer would be like, well, he has the most home runs when the pitcher is left-handed and the guy in seat A4 section 15 threw up from his hot dog. Like, it's
oh my god, I can't believe it.
Too specific of a record.
Right.
All in all that matters is both movies had a pretty good weekend, which is exciting because I like both of these movies.
I may have been a little more excited for Detective Pikachu than you were because my love of Pokemon runs deep. I just finished.
Well, I mean, mine does too, just not currently deep anymore.
Mine got worse as I got older. How did that happen?
Yeah, mine was when I was younger. I would watch the show and I had Pokemon Red for Game Boy. But then I didn't have anything to do with Pokemon until I tried Pokemon Y and it was decent. And then I played Pokemon Go for a little while. But really, like, your love of it came to full fruition with Pokemon Go. I think, is it like soared.
I mean, truthfully, it kind of started out in San Diego when Cartoon Network got the rights to show the anime. So
yeah,
the Indigo League, the original one, and I used to fill up our DVR with it, much to my roommate's dismay. And I'd watch it like every Saturday.
Eventually, you could just basically watch it for free on Twitch.
I never had Twitch.
Which was nice.
So that didn't happen, but...
I mean, like, it happened after that. Eventually after that, yeah.
Yeah, now it's on Netflix, too. So, but then, yeah, Pokemon Go kind of, like, just when that hype exploded and everyone was playing, and I just really got, and I still play. I'm going to be honest, I'm one of the people that was a holdout, and I still play, and I still have like a few dedicated friends that still play, and all my trips to Japan and playing in Japan where like people still care about it, so much fun, especially when you do the big raids and you actually have like 20 people that are like helping you catch legendary Pokemon. Like, it's super fun. So yeah, I don't know, my love of Pokemon has only grown as I've got older. I've had the privilege to visit more than one Pokemon Center in Japan. I have a dear friend, Elsa, who will send me limited editional seasonal Pokemon gear from the Pokemon Center in Japan. So, yeah.
Because for the most part, here, you just have, like, the t-shirt section in Kohl's. Like, that's pretty much, like, the extent of merchandise for, like, adults here.
Like, I'm staring at a Matsuri Pikachu. Like, he is all ready for a Japanese summer festival.
I saw someone visit a Pokemon Center, and I saw, like, the whole collection of Pikachu that were, like, all different. There were chefs, and there were, like, I don't know, like, firefighters. It was, like, they had a million different jobs for them.
Well, they opened up a new Pokemon Center in Cafe, and I've been to the cafe, and Chef Pikachu comes out in one of those giant Pikachu costumes like you see with the Yokohama Parade of Pikachus, and he comes out and does little jump.
And the ones that they can't fit through the doors.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, it's freaking magical. And he comes over and he says hi to everybody and thanks them for coming to the restaurant, and I don't know, and they have an Eevee too, but it was pretty magical, I have to say.
Yeah. Well, on that note, then, let's jump into this movie. What were your expectations going in?
High on cuteness, low on plot. That was okay with me.
Yeah, I saw some people, like, upon first reactions of the movie coming out, I saw some people saying, like, the plot's simplistic, and I'm like, no, it's not. Once I got out of the movie, I was like, that was not simplistic. It was simple. Like, there's a negative connotation to simplistic, and that's, like, there are 6-year-olds going into this movie. They should be able to follow along just as good as everybody else. And coming out of the movie,
I was gonna say, there was like a little kid who kept like audibly gasping and asking questions, and his mom kept pushing him, but he was so excited. I mean, he wasn't like, being like, it wasn't like a baby crying. He was like, what?
It's not obtrusive. It was just excitement for the movie.
Then he kept yelling out all the Pokemon names too, but everybody sort of found it adorable. And the 2 kids that walked out in front of me in their Detective Pikachu hats were very excited about it. So, I thought it had that nice balance, though. Like, it was it was simplistic in, like, its plot, but it was meant for everyone. And I feel like with Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu, which made sense, by the way, in the context of the movie, there were...
I was curious if they were gonna do that thing, because it's alluded to in the Detective Pikachu game, but it is not, like, said outright that is the thing.
But there were jokes that were more adult, and that was fun. Yeah. Like, there was a little wink, nod.
Once I got out to the car and I started to kind of, like, formulate my thoughts on it a little bit, I was thinking about the fact that I think that it's simple, but there's just enough mystery that a young child can keep up with the movie and, like, unravel the mystery as they're watching it, as opposed to, like, we go into it as adults and hopefully, we're able to put 2 and 2 together relatively early in the movie. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm not, like, the end result of the plot being, like, crazy twists and M. Night Shyamalan, like, crazy. I don't give a shit about that.
This is not Pokeception. Like, what did you expect? Like, you know what I mean?
And that was a lot of the first reactions I saw out of it. And I was like, what are you talking about? This is a movie that is PG. It's not PG-13 even. And it's, like, literally for the widest audience, including children, as possible.
Yes.
So,
yeah,
it was bizarre to see those reactions. But I came out of it not being, like, extremely blown away, but I had a really fun time with this movie.
I would love for them to make more.
Yeah, and I don't even know if they need to make more of this specifically.
No. I just mean, like, I loved Rhyme City, where people and Pokemon lived together. I love how they did the Pokemon. I thought they had a nice mix of gens in there. And it was like, you know how people felt like Avatar was a world they wanted to live in? Like, Rhyme City was where I wanted to live.
I do know some people that felt like that. I never felt like that.
I 100% felt like that.
For Avatar?
Oh, no, for this.
That's what I was saying.
I thought
for
you were
Avatar,
talking about
right?
this. Yeah, no. I didn't feel like that for Avatar either.
For Avatar, the only thing I ever give it credit for is it is a hell of a showpiece for groundbreaking tech at the time that it came out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only applause I ever give it. No, I think the Pokemon themselves, like, as worried as I was when the first trailer came out, how certain textures were, like, I didn't like the way that light bounced off of them specifically, and like on Mr. Mime, like light kind of went through his skin a little too much and made him a little too realistic. I like seeing it on the big screen. I think it worked out better than seeing it like on my TV or computer or whatever. It was just a fun little movie that happened to have a decent amount of heart, that wasn't too saccharine, and it had some funny stuff in it, and that all worked for me. So meh to those first reactions, I guess.
Also, like, it's Pikachu. Like, give me a break. Like, what were you expecting? Like, an Oscar level, like, performance here? I don't know. I thought it was funny. I thought it was cute. They justified my fear of APOM, so that was helpful.
Right out of the gates.
Right? And then I liked when he was trying to catch the Cubone in the beginning and that didn't work out, and then we've all been there where you go against a societal norm and people give you shit for it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
In this particular case,
we were emo teens, we know.
Yeah, right? So that part was relatable, where, he didn't have a Pokemon partner, and that happens. And I mean, I guess I don't really understand, because I mean, Owl's like the closest thing you're gonna get to like having your actual Pokemon. So
she's pretty Bulbasaur-y.
She's a gas type.
Yeah, that's fair. Listeners know.
Listeners know that Olive is definitely a gas type Pokemon. Yeah. I mean, Licky Tongue is one of my favorite Pokemon. I'm not gonna lie, because he looks like a salamander, and that part.
That was a good moment.
That was funny. It was like
just that slow wipe.
Yeah.
Was so good.
Oh, and then I like how they were like just peppered in, and they just kind of existed, like the the Pidgeys and Pidgeotos, and like just flying around, and I don't know. I liked that Snubbull was the detective's partner, which makes me always think of a stupid joke. I knew you were Snubbull when you walked in. I literally think that every time. Did Snubbull remind you of Dozer? Because you're one of the only people who met my bulldog out in San Diego. Only in personality.
I guess. Not really like...
Yes.
Not really like intensely, but the grumpiness, yeah. But like, I was just laughing at the fact that it was a type kind of thing, and it was a cop, so I like automatically connected McGruff the crime dog. Like I couldn't not like picture that. The door. Like I wanted them to have a little trench coat and a fedora on. Out of crime.
I liked even when I think it was it Machamp?
Yeah.
Who was do a crossing guard because Snorlax fell asleep in the road. And the Bulbasaur moment was amazing.
Yes, that's one of the moments that I was like, yeah, this movie's got something, like a little bit something special more than just like, this movie is fun. Because that was my starter in Gen 1. And I've been a grass type starter as many games as I have tried to play. Mm-hmm. All because of Bulbasaur. And I think it's because I could never have a dog growing up. And out of the 3 starters in the main game, Bulbasaur was the most like dog-like in the visual array anyway. Basically, it has 4 legs.
See, Charmander was mine because he looks like Alphonse, my Paddletail newt I had for a long time.
That makes sense.
But I gravitate towards water types if we're going for, like, starters, but generally I'm more of a ghost and psychic.
In the show, well, yeah, you're tarot to the core.
Right.
On the show, I always loved Squirtle more because the Squirtle Squad episode is I just really love the stupid gang that they had, and actually I think on the show I even preferred Charmander over Bulbasaur because the episode where Ash saves Charmander from like a shitty trainer that's basically abusing him.
Oh my god, we can't even talk about the episode. I'm gonna cry. But his little flame is gonna go out.
Yeah.
Like, everyone always talks about the Butterfree episode as being
Ash
like,
is like running with them with like a leaf over the flame.
Right? Oh my god. And then they kind of call that back with
Pokemon is always thought of as just like, and it can be very trite and dumb a lot of the time, but like some episodes like that one are very meaningful. Like that is a genuinely good episode of television in general, not just like cartoon or episode of that show.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then they do a callback to that with Tepig later on, who's also a fire type, where he has someone wrapped like cord around his mouth and he can't eat.
Yeah.
And they have to catch him so they can help him.
Well, and in the movie, after the cage fight sequence, the battle, when Gyarados actually appears.
Oh my god, that was fucking awesome!
It was super cool, but also, like, I was thinking about the Charizard and the flame on his tail. Like, I was like, is it gonna go out? Is it gonna go out? Because I have such a vivid memory of that episode of the show. And then he's getting doused in just, like, pools and pools of water. It was like, there's no way they could do that. They're right. They can't do that. And thankfully they didn't.
You bring up a good point, though. I liked in that scene that even though Charizard's trainer is supposed to be like, you know, a bad guy, like a dealer, like an underground, like scum kind of guy, he still very much cares about his Charizard. And the reason he's mad is because he lost in battle and he got a big scar. And his Charizard got hurt. He was very concerned for his Charizard. And so, like, even people who are bad guys still very much care about their Pokemon.
But he still had bad torso tattoos.
Of course he did.
I do, like, that's some of the stuff that was so good, like, in those moments is Ryan Reynolds' performance as this version of a Pikachu. Like, the comments about him not wearing a shirt, like, that guy not wearing a shirt, but he's got a jacket on. It was like, that was the stuff that, it was like, oh, yeah, that is the perfect kind of dialogue for Ryan Reynolds to be doing. It's literally PG Deadpool. It's something you see in Deadpool 2, the turnaround of just that kind of like cut with a joke really easily and then immediately flip it around and have like a really sincere moment. Like when Pikachu and Tim are sitting and Pikachu just goes, I don't know what the situation was like, but I think right now your dad will hug you so hard your bones would pop. Like that, the delivery in that moment was very good and the animation on the character was very good. And it all tied together to be a very heartfelt moment that tied into the end of the movie super well as well. Yeah, it's one of those movies that I'm just like, I'm really happy with this movie. I don't have many specifics about the movie. Like, I don't think I'm going to see this movie a million times. But if it was on a streaming service or on TV while I was flipping channels, I would happily leave it on because, like, you know what? I remember having a good time with this movie.
We could talk about some of the Easter eggs too.
That's another thing. Bring them up more because like I said, you'll remind me of them, but I don't remember that many specifics about this movie other than like I enjoyed my time with this movie because it's also very short and very quick paced. So I feel like I almost didn't even have time to like catch things as they were going. I did not catch them all, is what I'm saying.
You did not. Well, first one I was going to bring up, I'm not doing them in order, is when Pikachu leaves Tim and he's walking back and he's singing the theme song.
Yeah, the Sad Walk theme song. That was very funny. That
was adorable. And then I think they did a throwback to, I want to say it was a reference to Ash when we see a glimpse of what a Pokemon battle looks like, you know, like an official one, because we see a kid with the hat and the red jacket. I don't think it was specifically.
I think that was more of a reference to the original game because the two battlers were red and blue. And those are the characters in the games is red and blue, so, and obviously the titles of the game. But yes, it felt like a reference to the battle aspect of this world, which we don't really get to see besides that cage match.
I liked that all the stuff with Ditto was fucking ridiculous. How do we not talk about
I liked what they did with the plot with that. And also, it's very strange that the son of Bill Nighy's character looked like Milo. Like, it looked like shithead Milo from the stupid right-wing aspect internet.
I know where you were going with that. I was like, Milo who?
No, it's very weird. Like, I thought about it coming out of the movie and then seeing other people's reactions on Twitter after I came out of the movie and they were saying it, and I was like, oh, fuck. I'm glad I'm not alone with this. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. But no, I liked what they did with the Ditto stuff, because it made sense why, like, oh, right, that character didn't say a word. And they commented on the fact that that character didn't say a word. And I actually didn't even put that together until basically the reveal happened.
And then the reveal was so funny when she takes off her glasses and she had the beady little eyes.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Just like all the little, like, they have a whole bunch of Pokemon toys now that are different Pokemon as Ditto, and they just always have the Ditto face.
Yeah.
And that was cute. And I don't know if this was, I think there's actually more time that passed, but there was a reference to, I think, the original Pokemon movies and everything when they talk about Mewtwo, because like, he's been missing. He's gone off for 20 years.
So this reminded me a lot of, remember when the animated, CG animated Ninja Turtles movie came out in like 2007? Mm-hmm. So towards the end of that movie, there's a moment where they put a helmet on a shelf. Like, Raph is doing the vigilante thing and has like a costume, and he puts the helmet from that costume on a shelf and basically retires it and says, like, okay, this is something that we've defeated and got over, because it wasn't a good thing for him to be doing. And he puts it next to the helmet from the Shredder from the first 1990 movie. He puts it next to the broken canister from the Ooze from the second movie. And then he puts it next to the time travel scepter from the third movie. And it like, oh, this animated movie is actually connected to all those old Ninja Turtles movies by doing that. This specifically said that Mewtwo had, like, when they created him, it was 20 years ago. This is a direct sequel to the first movie.
That's what I was thinking,
it's
too.
Crazy.
For some reason, I thought it was a little bit more than that, but I could be wrong. I just have this very, very vivid memory.
They went into more detail. It just reminded me of the way that the Ninja Turtles movie did it. But they went into actual dialogue and explained basically that this is a sequel to that movie.
I can't believe it was that long ago. Like, I have this very visual memory of. I'm trying to think, because the first movie I remember I watched with my brother, like, literally, like, was like sitting in my lap on the floor on Christmas Day, because he was like 3 maybe. And he actually, like, sat there and watched the entire movie. We just watched it
I think it was
together.
2000?
Maybe? Yeah, okay, so he was 4.
November 6, 1999 is the USA release.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, he was 3.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, he was 3 years old, and he was sitting in my lap watching this movie, and we just watched it together, because I got into Pokemon because my youngest brother, who is now 23, loved Pokemon when he was a kid, and that's when there was 150, and I knew them all, and he knew them all, and then they got on all the cards and all that stuff. I didn't quite get into the Pokemon card game, but yeah, we would watch the show together.
What'd you get for cards on this?
I did not get cards on this.
Where'd you see it?
AMC Assembly Row.
They were supposed to give you cards.
I didn't get cards?
Yeah, AMC was supposed to
What
give
the hell?
out a little 2-pack of cards.
Oh, what the now I'm upset. Well, now I'm going to have to see it again.
Well, hopefully it's for more than opening weekend, because it's one of those things.
That's a bummer. What the hell?
So they all came with a Detective Pikachu card where he has 2 moves. One is called Corkscrew Punch, which I think is a regular move, and then one is called Coffee Break, and it's heal 30 damage from this Pokemon.
Oh.
And then the other card that you get is like, it's a random one, and very fitting, I got a Bulbasaur.
Bulbasaur. There are a lot of Charmanders I noticed as well. I like that Squirtles worked on the fire department.
Yeah, and the Arcanine were cops, basically.
Mm-hmm. Were they and the Growliths too. I think there was a combo in the parade scene. They had both.
Okay.
The Growliths were big.
I was thinking there was a girl walking in an alley who had one that was small but had like a full mane, I think, instead of just the little like puff up top of hair. And
I think they just did the Growliths like that. I think they just made them a little bit fuzzier.
Because I think the cop ones specifically are Arcanine.
I don't know. I think that they were. I'm pretty sure they were Growliths, but I feel like I want to see it again because I bet there were a lot of Pokemon in the background that I didn't notice.
Oh yeah, just the shots of Rhyme City where it's like a wide shot of the city. I'm sure there's I think there's only like 50 to 60 total in the movie, but like where they're placed and whatnot. Those big wide open shots, I think, would have like a million of them. And I do like that, like, it wasn't as much as I'm more a fan of the Gen 1. There's Pokemon I recognize from further in its history. So it was nice to see a little bit of a mixture as well.
It was nice to see the Psyduck appreciation in this film.
Yeah, and most people walking out saying that he was the star of the movie. I wouldn't go that far. Had some moments, but I wouldn't say that Psyduck was, stole the show necessarily, as some folks have said.
I'm looking at okay, so there were both Arcanine and Growlithe, depending on where in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I keep sort of repeating myself. I think that this is a nice movie. Like, it's a good movie. I don't know if I could say coming out of it, I'm like, hell yeah, if they make another one next year, I want it next year. Like, I could wait a couple years for another Pokemon movie.
Oh no, I want all of them now.
Is it because of the movie itself, or just because, like, you got to see them fully realized on the big screen?
The latter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love. It's not so much I want to see more of Tim and Pikachu solving mysteries. It's just I want to live in that world.
Yeah, I'd like to see the next movie be more of an adventure movie.
I'd love for them to bring in Team Rocket.
Yes, I would like to see Team Rocket. There is stuff from the original show I would like to see them bring in as well, but I don't want them to do Ash. I want a different trainer, because I feel like Ash, like, I looked it up the other day. There are, I think it was 1,038 episodes of the show, plus however many movies. Like, Ash has had his time. We could give it to a different trainer now.
I wouldn't mind if Ash cameoed, though.
I wouldn't mind that. I just don't want Ash to be the main character. Let him have his, like, 1,000 hours of stuff that he's done. But yeah, I don't know how much more I really have to add. It's just a good, nice movie. What else were there? So we didn't even talk about the dad stuff, really.
No, we did not.
Which
I was
is crazy.
Proud of you.
Well, not even like that dad stuff. I just mean like the fucking fact that Pikachu is his dad. Like, we barely touched on that.
And his dad is Ryan Reynolds, like actual Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. Which, like, that's the thing I was talking about with, for me, I figured that out real early, but that's something, I feel like it's one of those things, it's like, it hints at it just enough that a kid might be able to figure it out, or it'll be a big reveal for them. And I think that they handled that pretty well.
I was surprised.
Yeah, and like, I think I only figured it out in the first third of the movie instead of like around halfway, because I know about the Detective Pikachu game enough to know, like, there was a whole segment of like Reddit that's like, so is he his dad? Is he not his dad? And this explicitly says, like, it's his dad. The game alludes to it more. So yeah, I thought that worked out really, like, that's where the heart of the movie was the relationship between those two characters. And then just to tie it in with that, I think it worked really well, and that's tying it back to the first movie with Mewtwo, and it's like the only way that can happen is with Mewtwo. And so I think they handled the bonkers stuff that could be completely insane and laughable in some ways. I think they actually handled it really well, and it pushed the sincerity of this movie a little bit more.
It felt very grounded, I have to say, for a Pokemon movie.
Well, granted, we did not go on any flying Pokemon, so we didn't get off the ground.
Yes, we did. Pikachu did.
I'm saying we didn't. Like, we are the perspective of Tim in this movie, not Pikachu. I don't know. I am satisfied while not being overly eager to, like, I don't ever want this to get to be like Marvel levels. Like, I don't want a million of these movies coming out constantly. But I think they're good enough to have them come out fairly frequently to, like, all right, it's time to go back to this world that I enjoyed a decent amount.
I will choose this world over fucking Minions any day.
I would say I enjoyed this movie as much as the first Despicable Me movie.
Okay.
The first Despicable Me movie is a very good movie. I didn't watch the entirety of the second movie, and I've never seen the third movie. And I never watched the Minions movie specifically. Mm-hmm. But the Minions in Universal Theme Park are good interaction characters. It's very strange, my relationship with Minions.
I see that now. That's something I didn't know about you. It's coming to light on the podcast.
I only know that because of watching YouTube videos of people that go to theme parks, because I have not actually ever been to a Universal Studios.
Another thing that I just learned.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have assumed that, but I just didn't know.
Yeah, no. Only Disney. Well, and like general amusement parks. And I guess Six Flags is not really a theme park.
I've only been to Universal Studios once, if it makes you feel any better, but I did go on the Jaws ride. I just remember I was excited because I liked Mallrats a lot.
I can go recreate the wedding during the credits of that movie. All over Weezer's Suzanne playing in the background.
And then I left hand in hand with an orangutan.
Yep. Also named Suzanne. Yeah, I, legitimately, I'm in such a, that was satisfying, but not overwhelming, that I just don't have that much to add. And so I don't know if you want to keep going or not.
Listen,
yeah.
between Game of Thrones and Endgame and everything else, I feel like Detective Pikachu was that, nice, easy to level, non-think piece we needed.
Yeah. Something that did happen before the movie, during the trailers, when the Sonic trailer started.
Did people groan?
My entire crowd, it wasn't a full audience because I went to the early 4 p.m. Thursday night screening, because AMC will sometimes do those, particularly with Warner Brothers movies. As soon as that started, probably half of the people in the room, there were maybe 20 to 30 people in the room, about half of them just, oh no.
Same,
wow.
same, at Assembly Row. The audible groans, man.
Well, that's the thing is, they didn't groan. They all said, oh no, at the same time. I don't know if it was planned, and they all decided to sit in different places, but, every adult, because there were a couple families, and, then mostly groups of, mid-20s, early 20s, I think, that were in this showing, and I was like, did all of the groups of early 20s decide to sit in different places and just react the same way as soon as it came on? Because it was weird.
What you were experiencing, I believe, is called collective dread.
Yeah, well, and now I feel like first of all, that movie comes out on my birthday, so that is going to be a weird day. Almost as bad as when Trump was elected on my birthday.
Almost.
Real close, though. I'm feeling obligated to go now because the director announced that they are going to do the redesign, so I feel obligated to be I support you artists that are going to have to suffer night and day now to redesign that fucking character that I'm sure you guys already knew looked bad in the first place. I feel like I have to go support them because they're going to go through hell, and it sucks for them. Fucking Sonic ruins everything. Yeah. My birthday's gonna be bad.
I have no further comments on Sonic because I feel like my brain is in a happy place right now, and I just don't want to go there. I just don't have it in me.
I mean, if you go there, you got to go fast.
Too soon.
And with that, I think we'll call it the end of the episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to recover from that one.
So we'll be back in a couple weeks. And we'll see you then.
Bye.